The Senate Intelligence Committee is looking into whether Senator Ted Cruz revealed classified information when discussing the government's ability to monitor phone records during last night's Republican debate. Committee Chairman Richard Burr said this morning he's going to have his staffers look at the transcripts of the debate and figure out whether that really is the case, Jose. So this is how he got into it. He was talking about the changes in the metadata collection program that we're seeing right now. That was actually part of this testy exchange between Rubio and him. This is what he said exactly. The old program covered 20% to 30% of the phone numbers to search for terrorists. The new program covers nearly 100%. That gives us greater ability to stop acts of terrorism, and he knows that's the case, talking to Rubio. And then Rubio had his reply. He was saying, when he started his reply to that, he was like, let's be very careful when answering this because I don't think on national television in front of 15 million people is the place to talk about this. So Marco Rubio kind of was a little bit more
like,
careful.
Hey, bro,
yeah,
you're crossing a line right there. Let me throw you a bone.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't put yourself in shame.
So now Richard Burr is looking into this, and we're going to figure out whether this really was the case, because you could talk about these things, but the second you start to mention specific numbers, then it starts to become something that they have to stop, because you're talking about classified information, and then you could be, putting people at risk at that point.
No, that's a classic Cruz move in the debates. He's been trying to outsmart the opponents, and it shows the next big battle in between the Republican candidate, that is the Rubio-Cruz bout. And it's very evident that they're both fighting for that establishment spot, the candidate that the Republican establishment is going to support, because Jeb Bush is not really cutting it. He's being trolled by Trump left and right. Even at the the exchange that they had, where Jeb Bush called Donald Trump the chaos candidate and the chaos president. And at that moment, Trump, as always, he quoted a poll and said, well, I'm at 42 and you're at 3. He got an applause. He's a troll. But then on the other side, we do have Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio fighting for that establishment spot. They had also exchanged about immigration, their position on immigration. Ted Cruz, by PolitiFact, he was qualified as a liar, pants on fire, for claiming that Rubio wanted an open border policy, when he was one of the reasons that Gang of 8 bill didn't get approved, because he was pushing hard for a border, physical border, and funds for that. So once again, the Republican debate shows that they're more concerned about the inner workings of the party and how they're going to get elected as the candidate than the real policy that this country needs.
Or what affects the majority of Americans who aren't very wealthy people, right? So we could play into that too. As far as fact-checking goes, there was also something that Ted Cruz said that wasn't necessarily true, about how he said, the FBI has come out and said we simply will not be able to vet, any amount of refugees that come in here, which is completely also bullshit. The exact same organization came out and said, no, that is also wrong. But look, what if he did compromise our safety and put out some classified information? What's going to happen? Is he going to bust Snowden and run off to Russia for the rest of his life?
You took the words out of my mouth. Are we going to sit them in the same bench now, Ted Cruz and Snowden, because they're revealing this information that is giving the terrorists an edge? Because immediately after Paris, a lot of people came forward and said, hey, this is all Snowden. This has Snowden written all over it. If it wasn't because of him, we would be able to prevent this from happening. Now you see Ted Cruz just running his mouth in a debate, running information that he, just to win a point.
Right, and I got to be honest, I wouldn't be too upset at the fact that if Ted Cruz was to run off to Siberia or something, I'd survive. I wouldn't be too upset about that. But Richard Burr, who's the head of the committee looking into this, surprisingly said he didn't even watch the debates. He saw it over social media. He said The Voice was on and it was the final episode. So he was apparently more into that than watching the Republican debates, which is in itself very funny. But Ted Cruz here, the topic of discussion, who's actually been doing quite well in polls that we've seen recently in states like Iowa, may be compromising his own campaign by putting out information that could be classified.